Hello, I'm Azai. Welcome back to Swan Song. So, I haven't been playing this game as much as I wanted to. Mostly because, as I said from the previous episode, I've been playing PSO2 quite a bit. Gosh, that game is a lot more fun than I remember. Or then again, maybe it's just my hype from playing something that I haven't played in a long time. I don't know. I can't differentiate the emotion I'm feeling. But either way, I am having fun with it. I would also wanna do more of Swan Song, but damn. I've been playing more and more of PSO2. After work, I just play PSO2. After I go to bed, and when I wake up, I play PSO2. Well, thankfully, I woke up a bit earlier today, so I can do some Swan Song before I play some PSO2 right after. But yeah, let's just go. I don't have much to say about this visual novel. Like, it's a pretty straightforward visual novel so far. Very, very straightforward. Today, we've been assigned to transportation of materials. We work with the administration department, carry heavy metallic rods on our shoulders, and walk on the snow.
みんな気をつけるんだ。疲れたらすぐ休むように。無理はしなくていいぞ。
This game is actually a lot more like a typical anime than anything. Like, it's pretty solid. But in a way that, you know, I thought it would be a lot more dark. I don't know, maybe it's because the choices that I made are kind of lighthearted or a bit too defensive. I don't know how the bad endings play out. Like I said, will they continue the story if one of the main cast dies, or will they stop at some point and then just give you a bad ending? The one encouraging everyone at front is the leader of the shelter, Hida-san. He's not only giving out instructions, but carrying a heavy load as well.
大丈夫? Tsuka-chan.
Tanomura-san, who's in front of me, turns around. We're carrying the bed pipes together.
大丈夫です。まだ歩けます。
I'm trying to load to my right. I'm tying the load to my right hand since it has no grip strength. I pulled up my glove and saw that it was swelling, so I'm applying snow and cooling it from time to time. The shelter will be taking in those patients from the hospital who've been pretty much left out in the open under the canopy. We're preparing and moving the beds and equipment from the hospital to the middle school. All the people from the administrative department were rounded up for this. We were included in the department before we knew it. We returned to the school covered in sweat and carried the stuff inside the building. I'm sweating under my clothes and I'm running out of breath.
そのコート、だいぶ傷んできたんじゃないの?
Tanomura-san speaks to me when I take my coat off and brush the snow off of it. He's right. The coat's ruined in places and the surface is worn out. This isn't a coat to be working in after all.
でも、僕の上着はこれしかないですから。田村さんの上着こそ破れてるじゃないですか。
ほんとだよ。参ったね。
天子さん、作業用の防寒着ならベンチコードがたくさんありますよ。
Another member of the administrative department is resting next to us, and he speaks up.
ほら、俺が今着てるやつです。
それ貸してもらえるんですか？
近くのスポーツショップにたくさんあるから取ってくるといいですよ。でも、かっこ悪いですけどね。
かっこ悪いっていうか、カラオケボックスのキャッチの人みたいだね。
Tanomura-san laughs.
でも暖かいですよ。
つかちゃんはこういうのど
う？僕はそういったものは気にしません。寒気を防げるならそれでいいです。
そうですよね。今はそんなの気にしてる場合じゃないです。
でもな、俺そういうの苦手なんだよな。
We keep talking as we rest, and Hida-san appears. He's worked as much as we have, and he's the oldest one too. But he's not showing any fatigue. He's going around and handing canned coffee to everyone who's resting.
来たばっかりなのに、こき使ってしまってすまんね。
Another guy with a portrait. Interesting. So there's that Kakizaki professor, or doctor and Hida-san, huh? Two important figures. The coffee he hands us must have been warmed using hot water. The can is slightly wet.
病院の人たちを移送するのはいいんですけど、場所がありませんよね。どこに受け入れるつもりなんですか？
Tanamura-san tilts his head in wonder as he sips on the coffee.
体育館の余ったスペースと校舎の方を使ってもらうよ。この辺りの部屋は綺麗だし。
それはいいですね。でも、大体なんで校舎って立ち入り禁止にしてるんですか？そこまで崩れてはいないじゃないですか。
ああ、君は知らないんだな。教室の天井が突然崩れたことがあるんだよ。だから理由なく立ち入るのを禁止しているんだ。あれから一度もそういった事態は発生していないから、もう大丈夫だとは思うんだが。
それじゃあ仕方ないですね。
うん。もうスペースもなくなってきたからな。
You can't use electricity at the hospital after all. No electricity means that much of the modern medical equipment is as good as junk. The generator at the shelter is working, so we can use the equipment as long as it can be carried here. I have no objections about bringing these people here, but I have one question.
患者さんを連れてくるのはいいんですが、感染するような病気の場合はどうするつもりなんですか？そういうのもあるでしょう。
ああ、それは。
Hida-san's gentle face clouds over.
今のところ、そういう人は受け入れ対象から外させてもらっている。病院の方からも一緒にするべきではないという話があった。
Seems pretty normal.
じゃあ、向こうに置き去りにするんですか？
もちろん、それなりの医師や看護者も残るらしいけれど。
嫌な話ですが、仕方ないですね。
Tanamura-san frowns.
何か別の方法があればいいんだがな。現実問題としては難しいよ。
Hida-san leaves and silence remains. I imagine what it would be like to have the patients with contagious diseases left the hospital under those canopies. I go out into the schoolyard. I see many pots for making school lunches placed over fires. Women are moving around the pots like honeybees around a flower. I see Sasaki-san wearing an apron. She sees us and trots away from the circle of women and over in our direction.
今日はカレーですよ。
Sasaki-san smiling.
そりゃ楽しみだな。でも、ひばりちゃんはどこ行ったの？
アロエちゃんと一緒に裏で子供たちと雪合戦するとか言ってました。
ダメだな、働かないと。いつも遊んでるんだからね。
あ、田野村さん、ここは禁煙です。
ごめんごめん。
Tanamura-san puts a cigarette he put into his mouth back in the pack.
じゃあ、タクちゃんは？
クワガタさんはまだ発電機のところにいます。なんだか集中してるみたいで、お昼も食べないで一生懸命他の人とよくわからない専門的な話をしてるんですよ。
Kuwagata-san stayed at the shelter to inspect the power generator. That's still not functioning well.
そうか、生き生きとしていたからね。よっぽど機械が好きなんだろうな。みんなそれぞれ適材適所に振られてるね。
Tanamura-san nods in amazement.
あ、でも塚ちゃんは力仕事なんかよりもっと他にやることがあるかな。
Tanamura-san says this.
いや、僕には人の役に立てるような特殊技術はないですから、どうとでも使ってもらって結構ですよ。
I answer.
だからって無理はしないでくださいね。
Sasaki-san takes my hand with that.
なんか仲いいね。仲良きことは美しきかな。
Sasaki-san blushes and lets go of my hand. I don't think Amako or Tsukasa is actually in love with Sasaki. I don't know, it's kind of weird. He doesn't think about her all that much, I feel. We head to the hospital again to work. There are many things to do. We have to leave the technical treatment to nurses and doctors, but the environment has to be prepared and there are many miscellaneous jobs to do. We rebuild collapsing canopies, erect boards to block the wind, wash the patient's clothes, make fire, boil water, and the patients often stop me to give me tasks when I'm walking around. There are endless things to do. And furthermore, People are needed to carry the patients to the school. I keep moving as people tell me to, and it's dark before I realize it. I carry boards on my shoulder, and a can with a hammer and nails in my hand. I'm walking behind a hospital now. The hospital walls have been destroyed, and there's rubble everywhere. I look up and see the walls upstairs are completely missing, exposing the inside of the building. I was separated from Tanamura-san, and I'm alone. I try to hurry when I hear noises from inside the building. I peek inside through the collapsed wall and see a figure wearing white clothing inside a dark room. He has documents and a flashlight on top of the counter, and is looking through each page. It's the doctor that handled that man's complaint the other day. He's called Kakizaki, and I later learned that he's the director of this hospital, and that his father was the founder. Kakizaki is looking through the documents and biting his nail nervously from time to time. He has hollow cheeks, dark circles under his eyes, and he looks like a sick person himself. If he wasn't wearing his robe and I hadn't known who he was, I would never have guessed that he's a doctor. Only his eyes are glittering, and he doesn't fit the image of a doctor in my head. Just like before, I'm drawn to him. This time, it's how he seriously reads the document while standing up. After a while, many doctors enter the room. They greet Kakizaki and seat themselves in front of the counter. They're holding documents in their hands. It seems they're having a meeting. The scene looks abnormal, probably because of the dark, destroyed room, and the white coats they're all wearing. Each doctor reports on their patients, and Kakizaki questions them and points some things out. They're using too many technical terms for me to understand, but I do realize that the conversation is filled with negative words such as they're lacking something and how they can't use something. They're also talking about who's terminal and who's not going to get better. I hear some names I recognize. There's one that I talked to just a bit ago. It feels like I'm listening to something I shouldn't, so I get ready to leave.
諸君、最近忘れていないか
Kakizaki stares with grim eyes and speaks in an aggressive tone.
我々は医者だ。患者の友達でも家族でもないんだぞ。
Okay. The place is filled with tension. I'm hesitant to make a sound, so I can't walk away.
どうも最近無駄が目立ってきているようだ。気が緩んでいるんじゃないか。今の我々には見込みのない患者に労力や資源を投入している余裕はない。普段のような感覚でいてもらっては困る。
That's a pretty logical conclusion.
しかし、
The doctor speaks up.
なんだね。
Kakizaki glares at him.
患者の恐怖や絶望を和らげるのも医者の責任ではないのでしょうか。
Everyone's listening quietly. It seems more people are in the questioner's side. Kakizaki looks around and continues his words.
もちろんその通りだ。
ならば。
だが勘違いしてもらっては困る。医者の最大の目的は患者の生命を救うことだ。生命を扱う技術者として最初の意義が与えられ、その結果として人格や道徳が求められるようになっただけだ。これを本末転倒してはならない。君が生命の維持よりも心の救済の方が大事だというのなら、今この緊急の現場に医者として立っている資格はない。今すぐ白衣を捨てて僧侶にでもなればいい。
Again, he makes a good point. Like, I don't think he's the antagonist in this game. He looks like one, but he doesn't seem too bad. The doctors grow quiet. Kakizaki waits to make sure that there are no objections before he continues.
確かに絶望的な気分になるのはわかる。
His tone becomes softer.
今は電気も清潔な水も手に入れることができないでいる。その事実は当院が病院施設としての能力をほとんど失ってしまったことを意味している。それによって私たちが今まで学んできた専門知識の多くは決定的な処置に結びつけることが不可能となった。目の前の人間を助ける方法が分かりきっているにもかかわらず、有効な手段を得ることがかなわないままみすみす死なせてしまっている。また人的にも有能なスタッフを多く失ってしまった。場合によっては 専門者による対応が不可能となり、その弊害も結果に現れ始めている。もはや設備的にも人的にも近代医療を行う総合病院としての柿崎病院は死んだと言って過言ではない。
He looks at his watch.
19時43分。柿崎病院はご臨終です。
Why would you, make an object have some sort of death? He glances at the doctors. After a slight silence, there's some weak laughter.
その上、適切な転送先も未だに見つかっていない。
I guess it was a
正真
joke.
正銘八方下がりだ。このような絶望的な状況になれば、せめて安心して最後を過ごさせたいと思ってしまうのは人情だろう。しかし、我々は医療の専門家だ。我々には一番最初に死の絶望と戦う義務がある。そこで敗北を認めてしまったらどうなる？義務を果たすためには、人の自然に逆らってでも生命を優先させなければならない。ことさらにやるなとは言わないが、競合した場合には他のことは後回しにすべきだ。それが医療専門家としてこの状況に立たされたことに対する私の矜持と信念であり、この病院の方針だ。もし患者を苦しませることで生存の可能性が少しでも増えるのなら苦しませよ。憎まれることが必要ならば憎まれよ。ここで働く限りは何よりも生命を第一に考えて動いてもらう。諸君らは人間である前に医者であってほしい。そのためなら心なんか捨ててしまえ。
He stops there and looks around. Nobody says a thing.
時間を取ってしまった。それではそれぞれ持ち場に戻りたまえ。以上。
What are you saying, Aroe? Aroe murmurs to herself as she lines up go pieces on the gym's smooth floor.
これは何の歌なんでしょう？
Sasaki-san tilts her head in wonder.
さあ、本人に聞いてみたらどうかな。
Hanamura-san answers, so Sasaki-san sits in front of Aroe and asks,
アロエちゃん、今歌ってるのなんて歌？
Aroe does not answer and returns to her task. Sasaki-san scratches her head with her fingertips and returns to her original position.
そんなの聞いたって無駄よ。だいたい歌の名前なんかないようなのばっかり歌ってるんだから。
Kawase-san is leaning against Aroe's back. In one hand is a manju, and in the other is a comic book.
とにかく上機嫌なのは確かだね。
Hanamura-san smiles while staring up at the ceiling. After dinner, the people at the shelter relax and do whatever they feel like. There are students listening to music using headphones, old people reading books, and children gathering around a portable gaming device. Hanamura-san was lying around saying that he ate too much, but he was invited by other young guys and went to play mahjong. Mahjong? I think it's mahjong. Kuwagata-san is always by the generator, so he's not here. I have nothing to do, so I'm resting in the gym with Sasaki-san and Kawase-san.
つかさ、それ面白いの？
Kawase-san has finished reading her comic book, so she's looking at me now. I hand her the hand grip. She awkwardly squeezes it a few times.
飽きた。
She frowns and stops.
よくこんなの毎日やれるわね。そんなにピアノ上手になりたいの？
もう習慣ですから。
Kawase-san stares at the hand grip.
この子は好きそうね。やらないかしら。
She takes Aroe's hand and makes her hold onto it. Aroe looks at it in wonder. Kawase-san puts her hand over Aroe's hand and moves it.
どうよ。
Kawase-san lets go and the hand grip falls to the ground. Aroe continues lining up the go pieces as if nothing has happened.
あんまり気に入らなかったみたいだね。
Kawase-san picks it up and gives it back to me.
あまこさんのそれはまだ目的があるけど、アロエちゃんがあんなに楽しそうにしているのがさっぱりわかりませんね。
Sasaki-san is looking at the go pieces Aroe has lined up. The The goat pieces in front of Aroe are making 3 straight lines. She's starting on her 4th line now. She's placing them with clumsy hands, but the pieces are placed equal distance from each other, as if they were measured out. The lines are straight without any distortion. It looks like a machine lined them up. Aroe smiles happily from time to time.
そうだね。
Kawase-san thinks for a bit.
同じものを並べたり、同じ動きを繰り返したり、割れたものをくっつけたり、そういうのがすごく好きだね。でもそれって全部病気が原因なのかな。
そういうのはあるってテレビで見たことはあるけど、全部が全部そうなのかって言われるとどうなんだろうね。でも個人的な好き嫌いで選んでるものもあるんじゃないかしら。コーヒーも好きだし。
それ最近気がついたんだけど、なんか違うと思うのよ。
Kawase-san ponders.
違うって何がですか？
もしかしたら別にコーヒーが好きってわけじゃないのかもしれないなって思って。
どういうこと？
今頭の中でまとめるからちょっと待って。
Okay. Kawase-san stares at the ceiling for a while, then starts talking.
まず第一に決まったマグカップでしか飲まないでしょ。
そういえばそうね。あのマグカップ。
第二に必ずブラックで、ミルクなんかを入れてしまうと飲まない。
でもそれは味の好みじゃないんですか？
そうかもしれないけど、牛乳は普通に飲むのよね。甘いものも食べるし。まあそれは置いておくとして、第3、いつも決まった時間にしかコーヒーを飲まない。
Okay.
昼とかでも欲しがってるじゃない。
それが違うのよ。いつも寝る前にしか飲まないの。
Okay. I didn't know that.
寝る前には絶対コーヒーを欲しがるのよ。コーヒーを飲んだら昼でも夜でもすぐ布団入っちゃうでしょ。
そこに気をつけてみたことはなかったですね。
Me too. Well, there was barely any kind of indication that that was what's going on with Aroe.
でもそうなのよ。私思ったんだけどさ、アロエがコーヒー飲むのって単純に寝る前のルールなんじゃないの？アロエってご飯食べる順番とか服を着る順番なんかも同じ手順を絶対崩さないし、そこで思ったんだけどね。もしかしたら眠くなったらあのマグカップでブラックのコーヒーを飲んでから寝なくちゃいけないって決めてるんじゃないかな。
Didn't think she was this perceptive. Color me surprised.
そうなのかな。
だってコーヒー味のものとかを喜んで欲しがるわけでもないもの。きっと好きってわけじゃないんだよ。もしそうだとしたら、私の見る限りアロエの興味って規則とか反復するものだけだよ。それがもし全部病気のせいだっていうなら、あんまり人間っぽい趣味ってこの子にないよね。
人間っぽい趣味ってどういうのですか？
うまく言えないけど、司がそれを毎日握ってるのは好きだからってわけじゃなくて、手が動かないから自然とするようになったってことでしょ。それは別に楽しいからしてるんじゃないんでしょ。それは非人間的だよね。
I guess when it comes to hobby, sure.
ああ、なるほど。
But, I don't know, don't you, when you want to achieve something, don't you do that? Like, I don't like exercising, but I exercise every day. Because I want to keep myself in shape.
なんというか、自発的に選んでるんじゃなく
What are you
て、
trying to say?
選ばされてるっていうか、やらされてるっていうか、
Kawase-san crosses her arms.
もしそうだとして、病気のせいでやらされてることがアロエにとって唯一の楽しみになっちゃってて、他の楽しいことを何も知らないんだとしたら、なんかそれはかわいそうだよね。
Okay.
でもそれは特別なことではないんじゃないですか？やりたくもないことばかりして生活してる人もいるでしょ
う。でもやっぱりこんなの嫌だよ。他にも何かあったっていいじゃん。だって これじゃあ病気だけがアロエの全部みたいじゃん。
アロエの全部みたいじゃん。
Aroe mutters while lining up the go pieces.
本当はアロエの中にだっていっぱいいろんな感情があるはずなんだよ。表現しようとしないだけでさ、いろいろあるんだよ、きっと。
I don't know. I think you're feeling a bit too strongly about this, Hibari. I still don't know what I should call these girls and everyone, to be honest. I call Kuwagata, but I guess I'll just call you Kawase. Because it's more natural.
アロエにそんな感情なんかあるんですかね。僕にはそういうものは見えないですが。
そういうの嫌。
Kawase-san spits this out.
私にも見えないけど、でもきっとあるんだよ。何にもないなんて嫌だよ。ねえ、司はなんでそんなこと言えるの？
Kawase-san is staring at my face.
見えないからって何にもないなんて決めちゃ嫌だよ。だってそんなのひどいと思うよ。悔しいし、司にはわからないの？
No, not really. She's not mad or crying, but she's straining.
そうですね。不用意でした。すみません。
I apologize, so Kawase-san relaxes and sighs.
どうせ司に言っても仕方ないよね。鈍いからな。なんでゆかっちはこんなのが好きなのかな。
Suspension bridge effect, I'm telling you.
まあいいけどさ。
ひばりは
Sasaki-san glances at me, but quickly looks away when our eyes meet.
ひばりはあまこさんのことが嫌いなの？
嫌いってわけじゃないけど、なんかさ。
何？
いや、よしとくよ。つうか、あんたなんで自分の目の前でこんなこと話してるのに何にも言わないの？
I think in some sort of like crazy extreme situation, Tsukasa is a tiny bit like Aroe. But Tsukasa has common sense while Aroe doesn't have common sense.
僕は今何か言うべきでしたか？
それだから、もう。
Kawase-san sighs in astonishment and shuts her mouth. Sasaki-san is watching her in wonder. Aroe places a go piece on the floor. The piece makes a nice sound and she laughs. I still don't know what they're gonna do with Aroe, to be honest. I mean, considering the nature of this game and how, like, dark the situation is, I do know that Aroe is probably gonna get very, very fucked up later on. But, I don't know. That's not gonna be something I enjoy reading. I'm eventually called by a student in the administration department and head to the canopy in the schoolyard. The people of the administrative department are sitting around the fire. Kuwagata-san and Tanamura-san are already there, taking part in the conversation.
ああ、田野村君ってあの西武館の田野村さんなの？
Ida-san sounds surprised.
そうですよ、ボロ道場の。
Tanamura-san nods.
あれはボロって言うんじゃなくて歴史ある道場と言うんじゃないか？それに田野村さんは立派な武術家だったよ。その息子さんがそんな格好してていいのかい？
Ida-san is looking at Tanamura-san's golden hair. Tanamura-san touches his own hair.
どうなんでしょうね。特に何か言われたこともないですが、諦められてたのかな。
でも家で練習はしていたんだろ？強いんだろうな。今度暇な時俺と試合してくれないか？俺は一応選手だったんだが最近なまってしまってね。
飛田さんって自衛隊出身ですよね。
Really?
そこで選手ってな。警視庁とか自衛隊の人は真剣度が違うから怖いな。
いや、警視庁の人と比べられたらちょっと困るけどね。
Ida-san scratches his head in embarrassment.
あ、ごめんごめん。ほったらかしにしちゃって。
He finishes his conversation with Tanamura-san and gets up. Ida-san isn't that tall, but his body is sturdy like a bear's, and he has a unique atmosphere. He's the kind of guy people will naturally look at when he stands up.
今日もお疲れさん。よく働いてくれたな。
I don't have a gauge for how tall they are because the sprites don't really show you how big their body is. It only shows you like what, the neck and above. Ida-san then goes on to talk about tomorrow's plan and how the work will be assigned. We're planning to start transferring the patients tomorrow. Tanamura-san is assigned to carrying the patients. Kuwagata-san is assigned to help arrange the medical equipment. And I'm assigned to minor and miscellaneous jobs at the hospital. Ida-san must have realized about my hand.
病人や怪我人が増えることで負担も増えるだろうが、まあこういう状況だから皆で協力し合おう。とはいえ過剰に頑張りすぎず、気分が悪かったり体が疲れている場合には遠慮なく言ってくれ。どうもみんなは気負いすぎて疲れ切るまでやってしまう傾向があるからな。ちょっとサボりすぎなくらいでちょうどいいんじゃないか。怪我人や風邪になるやつが多すぎる。このままだとみんな倒れて俺一人になってしまうよ。
飛田さんは1週間くらい食べないで働き続けても平気そうですからね。
Are you stupid? I mean, I know that's a joke, but are you stupid? Someone makes fun of him.
おいおい、俺はこう見えても病弱なんだ。みんなと一緒に美味しい料理を食べさせてくれよ。
でも自衛隊の人って蛇とか食べる訓練するんでしょ。
食べられないことはないけどな。だからって明日俺の食卓に蛇の丸焼きを置こうなんて思うなよ。
へえ、なんでそんなつまんないこと言うんですか？
Someone else comments.
もうお前らのいたずらにはうんざりだよ。いつも俺をからかう方法ばっかり考えてるんだろう。
Ida-san jokes around and frowns. People laugh.
それから今日は体育館の方で何かトラブルがあったと聞いたが。
ええ、鈴木さんと山岡さんが自分たちの居住スペースが狭すぎるって抗議しに来ました。
スペースが足りなくて子供がむずがってるって話か？
はい、よく話して納得してもらいましたが。
そうか。みんなも気がついてると思うが、特に子供がいるような家庭はどこも神経質になってる。守るべきものがあるとやっぱりいろいろと辛いことがあるんだろう。そんな時は我々の方が感情的になってはいけない。彼らの言い分をよく聞いて、譲れない問題の場合は根気よく納得してもらうまで説明するんだ。説得しようと思っちゃダメだぞ。説明をするんだ。わかるな。我慢するなら我々だからな。
It's a very nice outlook you have.
運営部の人間は自分の体以外何にもない人ばっかりですからね。
With that, I realize that everyone here has one thing in common, which is that everyone came here alone. There's no one here who's a father or a spouse. You can say that most of us lived alone because we were students.
その通りだ。それはそれで問題もあるが気楽なもんさ。だけど辛いこともあるだろう。もしお前たちが誰にも言えない悩み事や苦しいことがあったなら遠慮なく俺に相談してくれよ。恋の悩みから性の悩みまで何でも親身になって乗ってやろうじゃないか。
That's kind of creepy because you're talking with like college students and stuff, which is maybe like half your age.
恋から性までって全然何でもじゃないですよ。すごくセクハラっぽい方向に特化してますよ。
A woman objects.
わかった。じゃあ他のことも強化する。
Ida-san sounds regretful.
だいたい飛田さんなんかどうせ腹いっぱい飯食ってたっぷり寝ろとしか言わないでしょ。
なんでわかったんだ？俺の心が読めるのか。
Ida-san makes a surprised expression, and everybody laughs.
とにかくだな。
Ida-san cuffs.
これからちょっと避難所の中が不安定になるだろうが、我々まで混乱してしまってはどうしようもない。避難者が困っている時に適切な指示ができるように普段からしっかりと相談し合っておこう。わからないことや不安なことがあったら一人で抱え込まないで誰かと相談するんだ。それだけは気をつけてくれ。
はい。はーい。
わかりました。
言いたいことはそれくらいだな。明日もよろしく。
The meeting ends and people start chatting.
あまこくんってあの教授のゼミだったの？私もあそこと迷ってたんだよね。学校どうなっちゃってるのかな。
あまこさん指きれい。ピアノやってるの？本当？それっぽい。
田野村さん、俺も小さい時剣道やってましたよ。田野村さん家の道場に行ってたやつもいるな。覚えてます？金子と言って。
やっぱりあのサバの空気っていうか雰囲気、パワープレイ推奨って感じでギスギスしすぎてるよ。俺なんかもっとまたりとした方が性に合っててね。クワガタ君はどこのサバで？
They're talking about online games. I was actually thinking like, huh, what is this guy talking about? I get tired since there are lots of people. My body is dead tired and I can't really think either. I say something appropriate and leave. Once I leave the canopy, the snow is stronger than I thought and falls onto my shoulders. I look in the distance and the ruin is quietly sitting in the dark. It's so dark that I can't really see it. Cheerful voices can be heard from under the canopy, and I suddenly get cold. I'm isolated. I get restless while walking to the gym where a lot of people are, so I stop. I watch as my breath turns white in the light.
浜子さん。
I look in the gym's direction at the voice. Sasaki-san is standing at the entrance and waving at me. She has a big smile on her face.
何してるんですか？早く中に入りましょうよ。
She comes down a few steps, takes my hand, and kisses my cheek. Oh, sorry. I cut off her voice. She's smiling happily. It's weird. I don't think Tsukasa actually enjoys living his life. He feels so awkward and... I don't know. Does he ever express happiness during the whole time we've been playing as him? I don't think so. Well, maybe during sex, but that's more so instinct than true happiness. I'm carrying dry laundry through the crumbling hospital. It's snowing outside, so we're hanging the huge amounts of laundry indoors. But it's been neglected because people are so busy. I carry so much that it blocks my view, and I stagger. When I pass in front of an examination room, I hear sounds from within. I peek inside. The room is filled with traces of disaster. Many pieces of equipment have been overturned. But the desk is organized and Dr. Kakizaki is sitting and writing something there. In his ears are earphones, which are connected to a portable CD player. He notices that I'm looking and looks up. He takes off the earphones.
何か用かね?
He asks.
通りかかったものですから。それ、くるみ割り人形ですね。
The music I hear from the earphones is a popular musical composition by Tchaikovsky. He looks at the earphones in his hand.
えらく耳がいいんだな.
He murmurs.
それより、府長の方が夕食をとってほしいと先生を探していましたよ。
いらないと伝えておいてくれ。私は今忙しいんだ。
He reaches for his earphones.
昨日から何も食べていないんだそうですね。
But he's concentrating on the document and does not even lift his face. According to the head nurse, he's working constantly without eating or resting. The head nurse was angry and said that she would scold him, but I think she would get the same result I did, considering him. His will is resolute. I give up and walk away from the door. I hear something collapse in the room. I head back and look inside the room. Kakizaki has fallen off his chair and is lying on top of the scattered documents. I put the laundry down and run to him.
大丈夫だ.
He looks up at me and speaks to me in a hoarse voice. I hadn't noticed before due to the darkness of the room, but looking at him up close, I can see heavy bags under his eyes. I take the pen light I always carry with me and shine it at his face. He looks obviously pale and has bloodshot eyes.
眩しいじゃないか。
He winces.
失礼します。
I raise his upper body.
問題ない。ちょっと貧血を起こしただけだ。
His eyes are obviously unfocused. He's trying to get up, but his legs seem to be out of strength. They only kick the ground ineffectively. I lift him and carry him on my back. It seems he wants to resist, but he doesn't even have the strength for that. His hands barely move. I stand up and I stagger due to our combined weight. I put my hand down on the desk. The earphones in front of me are still playing music. Since Kakizaki's tall, I kind of drag his legs as I carry him out of the room. I lay him on a long black bench in the hallway. I then head out of the hospital, stop a nurse in front of me, and explain the situation. The nurse calls for a doctor who diagnoses him with overwork, administers an intravenous drip, and puts a blanket over him. The nurse and I stay and talk about whether we should move him to a warmer place, and where we should take him if we do move him. That's when Kakizaki regains consciousness.
何をやっている
He looks up at the intravenous drip with wonder.
先生をこれからどうしようかと。
The nurse talks as if giving an excuse.
私の面倒なんか見ている暇があったら患者の様子を見ろ。こんなところで油を売っている暇はないはずだ。
I guess I understand his point of view, you know. He'd rather die trying to save people than trying to save himself, especially during these times of crisis like this. But at the end of the day, I think he should really value himself more. His life is worth more than like people that can't do anything.
でも。
じゃあ、僕がここで院長先生を見ています。
君も自分の仕事をしたまえ。私はもう大丈夫だ。
He tries to raise his body, but his head only raises a bit.
僕はきっとここで院長先生の回復を手伝うのが一番有意義な行動でしょう。外にいてもあまり役に立ちませんから。あとは僕に任せて、あなたは言ってください。
The nurse who has been watching the event hands me the porridge she prepared for Kakizaki.
お願いします。
She leaves the building. I stir the steaming porridge with a spoon.
食べられますか？
He shakes his head.
このところどうも戻してしまっていかん。荒野の白バカマというのはこういうことだな。体に力が入らんのだ。
それはどっちかというと医者の不養生ですね。
まったくその通りだ。実に宦官の至りだ。
He smiles in self-derision.
私は少し休むよ。君はもう言ってくれて構わない。
いや、任せてもらうと看護婦さんに約束したからには中途半端はできません。それにちょっと質問してもいいですか？
なんだね。
さっき院長が聞いていた演奏のことなんですが。
なんだ、若いのにクラシックに興味があるのか？
ええ、まああれ、指揮をしていたのは誰ですか？
日本人で天子和樹という人だが、有名だが知ってるかね？
知ってます。やっぱり演奏がそうだと思ったんです。教えてくれてありがとうございました。
Is he like not good with his dad or something? Does he not even know what his dad has been doing when he went to college?
君はクラシックに詳しいのか？
ええ。それに僕もよく知ってる音楽家ですから。
珍しい若者だな。君の名前は？
天子司と言います。
天子？
そうです。父は天子和樹です。
驚いたな。本当か？
本当です。
Kakizaki ponders for a while.
だとしたら、私はかつて君の演奏を聞いたことがある。
まさか。
本当だと思う。君はピアノが弾けるだろう。
ええ。ですが、僕が最後に人前で演奏したのは、今からもう10年くらい前のことですよ。人違いだと思います。
それで何もおかしくない。今から12年前になるだろう。その時君はウィーンにいたはずだ。
あ、確かにそうです。
私はそこで聞いたのだ。
でも僕がウィーンで弾いていたのは
あの薄暗いレストランで聞いたのだよ。
ああ、確かに僕はそうでした。じゃあきっと本当でしょう。驚きました。
懐かしいな。君の演奏は今でもよく覚えている。
そうですか。
そうだと思う。しかしなぜ君は今こんな片田舎にいるんだ？ここには音楽学校もオーケストラもないぞ。
今は大学生をしています。
It's kind of strange that he would remember like some random kid playing in a restaurant.
なんだ、ピアニストになれなかったのか。私にはとても素晴らしい才能の持ち主のように思えたのだが。
ええ、なれませんでした。
がっかりだな。
すみません。
He grows silent.
どうも、本当にがっかりしてるみたいですね。
ああ、君の演奏には特別な思い入れがあったからな。
But why?
どういうことですか？
誰かにこの話をすることがあるとは思っていなかったが、まあ、本人が相手ならば話しておくのも悪くないだろう。
12 years ago, that was back when I had just turned 30. I was studying abroad in Germany. I was trying to become a researcher instead of a doctor back then. I prefer facing diseases instead of patients. Patients eventually die even if you can save them for the time being. But excellent research lives forever. I thought that research was a better job. Studying medicine in Germany, I was imagining life like in Mori Ogai's stories, but it didn't turn out to be something that romantic. It must have been because of my verbal skills and personality, but I couldn't get along with the people there or my colleagues. It wouldn't have been troublesome if it was only a personal matter, but I guess it's only natural that it started affecting my work. My human relations grew worse, and I was eventually kicked off of an important research project that I'd been taking part in until then. It's an embarrassing story. I was given a leisurely post and I was bored. I got drunk every day and played around. It must have been partly due to the fact that I couldn't do what I wanted and was desperate. I tried many different kinds of pleasure. I'd been a boring student without any hobbies who had only studied until then. But it wasn't like I could play forever. You need talent too, to have fun. I realized it. I was empty. I couldn't bear the fact that I was playing every day, so I decided to leave the hospital. I didn't even know what I was going to do after I quit. I imagined that I'd leave the medical world for good, but I didn't mind. I didn't care if I turned into a bum or died in the gutter. I just wanted to get away from the scene. After I quit the hospital, I planned a trip around Europe. I wanted to see the place in detail before I went back to Japan. I thought that I would never return. I went by Vienna, where a wonderful Japanese musician was the topic of the town. I'd never listened to classical before, but I got curious and decided to go see it. I wanted to see a Japanese person who succeeded overseas, and this person happened to be Amako Kazuki. I used to avoid such Japanese people because I felt a sense of rivalry, but I honestly wanted to support him then. It was probably because I'd given up. But the performance never took place. Do you remember? Amako cancelled it on the day of the performance. They never announced why. But do you know why?
わかりませんが、確実にアルコールか女性かのどっちかでしょうね。多分その時期なら女性だと思います。
Bruh. Gosh, I guess his dad is that kind of person. I see. No wonder he couldn't perform. The cancellation of the performance was announced where the listeners were. They were booing loudly. It was amazing. When I tried to head home thinking that I didn't have any luck, someone else talked to me. He asked me if I was Japanese. I replied yes. He then said that he had heard Japanese people were polite, but that Amako was a ridiculous man.
災難でしたね。
I don't care about that. Anyway, from what I saw, Amako must have been doing a lot of things to offend the local people. The man was pretty angry. He said that he'd been unable to hear his performance twice in a row. But I had no connection with Amako. However, I also lacked the manners to properly represent the Japanese people. So Amako didn't seem like a stranger to me. I apologized to him for the time being. He didn't ask me what I did, so I honestly replied that I was a doctor. He then apologized for his impoliteness. He seemed to respect doctors. He then introduced himself. I still can't really tell the ages of Western people, but he was much younger than I thought. And he was a student at the music academy. He was almost a generation younger than me. He was interested in Japanese culture. He mentioned words like ukiyo-e and haiku, and invited me to a meal so he could hear about Japan. I don't have an average knowledge of Japanese culture, let alone a deep one, so I refused and tried to leave. But he asked me if I wanted to hear Amako's son play the piano. According to him, Amako's son was playing the piano every day at a nearby dirty restaurant. He said that he's just a small boy, but his performance is something that would make a student aspiring to become a musician go pale and faint. He said he'd take me there if I talked with him. I nodded back. It'd be strange not to get curious about after hearing such a story. It was indeed a dirty restaurant. You couldn't call it a restaurant here in Japan. It was more like a diner. The people eating there were people of that class too. I didn't like the food there either. I'd ordered wine and a goose dish, but it was so terrible that I couldn't eat even half of it.
聖マルティンの季節にいらっしゃったんですね。あそこのガチョウ料理は最悪なんですよ。
Oh, sorry.
でも、レバーのスープだけは絶品でしたよ。
I'll try it if such an unsanitary restaurant is still in business. Anyway, I talked with the student while we waited for you to come. The people there were starting to get drunk, and the place was rowdy since everyone was talking loudly. An Asian boy with a red nose and matching ears was in the restaurant before I noticed. The weather was cold, and he paid no attention to the noisy people and sat in front of the old piano in the back. People noticed him and started jeering him. They must have known that Amako had cancelled his performance that day. I don't think they would have attended that expensive concert, but I think it was fun for them to tease a well-dressed Japanese boy. Their words were so dirty and discriminatory. I think that's how you say the word. Such a hard word that I felt bad for also being Japanese. But you didn't even change your expression as you started your performance. The student who was with me was really angry too, but he shut his mouth as soon as you started playing. Someone cursed at you while you were playing, and everyone laughed. The student whispered in displeasure and asked why you were playing there. One of the complaints he had about Amako Kazuki was that he let his son play in such a place. But really, why were you playing at such a place?
あそこの店主の大事な一人娘を父が愛人にしてしまったんですよ。
Bruh.
それが発覚した後も、父は彼女を返すのを渋り、人質として僕を差し出したんです。
What the fuck kind of dad do you have? Holy shit. He sounds like a unique person.
ええ、人間としては完全な破綻者でしょう。ただ、彼の音楽は素晴らしいです。
Definitely destroyed my image of, like, you know, a good pianist. I'd assume so, or you would have been shunned by society. Anyway, I was also surprised by your performance. Can I hear it? I was first amazed at your attitude, since you did not take any heed of all the cursing. You weren't on guard against the jeers, and you flexibly played difficult music using delicate movements. I was listening intently, but I couldn't find any mistakes or missed notes. I eventually came to the conclusion that it was stupid to look for mistakes. I don't know a good performance from a bad one, but it was a wonderful performance. It didn't look like you were concentrating on music. It seemed as if the piano was singing without regards to your will. And it seemed you, the one sitting in front of the piano, had your mind on something nobody there could see. Perhaps I felt something so exaggerated because I was mentally defeated at the time, but that's what I felt. I thought that the boy faced his enemy alone in that situation without showing any concern. I'm not sure how I feel saying this in front of the person himself, but I felt a great deal of respect for you, and I was embarrassed for trying to ruin myself for a stupid reason. I returned to Japan and apologized to my father for quitting the hospital. I strained myself out and diligently worked at this hospital until now. I would not have been a doctor here if I hadn't heard your performance back then. That's how strongly your performance impacted me. I guess that's a nice little story. Dr. Kakizaki pauses and breathes out.
しかし、今の君はあの素晴らしいピアノを捨ててしまったのだという。なんだか 私の感動自体がバカバカしいものだったような気がするよ。
I want to say something, but I can't think of anything appropriate to say. I haven't abandoned the piano, but it doesn't change the fact that I can't play like I used to.
できれば知りたくなかったな。君はきっと怠けてしまったのだろう。でなければ、あんなに人を感動させた技術が簡単に錆びつくことはないはずだ。
Kakizaki closes his eyes.
なんだか不愉快だ。申し訳ないが、席を外してくれないか。
Bruh, you were the one that listened to me and then told me your story and then suddenly you get mad at yourself. I leave as he says.
よりによってこんな時に知ってしまうとは。
I hear the doctor's voice from behind me. It is kind of ironic though. I head to the school building by myself after dinner. I enter the building through a destroyed wall and turn on the flashlight when Sasaki-san approaches me from behind.
夜の校舎は立ち入り禁止ですよ。
Sasaki-san is staring at me as if to chide me.
すみません。でも用があるんです。
何の用ですか？
学校なら音楽室がありますよね。そこにピアノがないかと思って。
ああ。
なんだか無償に練習したいんです。ちょっと見逃してもらえませんか？
わかりました。
ありがとうございます。
でも、
何ですか？
もしよければ私も連れて行ってくれませんか？私、天子さんのピアノを聴きたいです。
I almost rejected her offer reflexively. Even if it's private, I haven't played in front of someone for many years, and I've decided not to. But I couldn't refuse today. I wanted someone to listen. It's probably because what Dr. Kakizaki said is lingering in my mind. I take my glove off and hold out my hand. She must have been about to give up, as she looks surprised. She then smiles and puts her fingers in my hand. The music classroom is in the corner of the third floor. We walk on the cracked hallway floor while putting our hands on the crumbling walls and finally reach the room. We remove the bent door and go inside.
夜の音楽室は階段の定番ですけど、これはいくらなんでもひどいですね。
Sasaki-san mutters while looking at the tables and instruments which are knocked over and ripped pictures of composers. The grand piano has slid to the side of the room. I move it away from the wall, place a seat in front of it, and sit down. There's a lock on the lid over the keyboard, but the lid itself is cracked and comes off when I pull it up. It's in a bad condition, but the sound isn't that off. I feel the work of a careful tuner. The sound my coat makes concerns me, so I take it off.
弾けそうですね。
I nod back at her words. The keyboard is shining white from the flashlight. It looks like someone's teeth, as if it's smiling at me, and I'm scared. My mental state is not good right now. I shouldn't be playing the piano today. But I can't stop what I've decided to do. I suppress my urge to run away and place my fingers on the white teeth, which may bite me at any moment. The surface is cold. I gently breathe in, then breathe out. I take a glance at Sasaki-san, and she's staring at me nervously. I signal with my eyes for her to relax and begin playing the piano. The action is a bit too heavy for my fingers, and at first, it feels like I'm riding a bicycle that's out of gear. But I slowly get used to it as I keep playing. The pianists who match their fingers to the piano are second-rate. First-rate pianists only play pianos that match their fingers. I remember my father's words. According to him, it's blasphemy against music to perform when you know that you won't perform your best. But that's for people who play precise performances. And it doesn't concern me right now since my control of the keyboard is clumsy. Using my father's words, I must be below second-rate as a pianist. I'm playing Chopin's 12 Etudes. OP12? Is OP for opening? I don't know. From the beginning. It's practice material, but it feels good playing them. Chopin was in frail health, so he used reasonable, gentle music scripts. Etudes are no exception. But it's still a heavy burden on my right hand. My left hand gets bored if it follows the tempo of my right hand, and my right hand screams if it follows my left hand. There's a limit to how much my left hand can support my right. The piano must be stunned at how I'm struggling in front of it, and it gives off tasteless sounds as if it's bored. I fight against my dismay and keep playing with the feeling as if I'm vomiting blood. This is like always. I finish all 12 songs and bring the hopeless time to an end. I take a deep breath.
すごい上手。本当に右手が怪我してるんですか？嘘なんじゃないですか？
Sasaki-san happily praises me, but it doesn't make me happy. I'm glad that she's praising me, but my performance was too miserable. I face the piano again. I at least want her to hear a decent performance.
お願いです。弾いてるところを見ないように、あっちを向いていてください。
え？
I wait until she looks away before placing my hand on the keyboard again. After I finish playing, Sasaki-san turns around with a stunned look.
どうですか？
これ、さっきと同じショパンのエチュード？
そうです。
でも、さっきと全然違いませんか？曲も演奏も。
そうですか。
もしかしてこれって？
It seems Sasaki-san realizes it.
これから商品を2つ弾きます。これを聞けばきっとわかるでしょう。今度は見ていてもいいです。
あ、はい。
I played a piece in front of her. The only thing moving on the keyboard is my left hand. I can feel her eyes open in surprise. I finish playing and the only sound remaining in the room is the wind.
どうですか？どうかしました？
Sasaki-san slowly breathes out.
ごめんなさい、ぼーっとしちゃって。これはスクリャビンの左手のための前奏曲と野奏曲ですね。
はい。
じゃあ、さっきのもやっぱり左手だけで弾いてたんですか？
そうです。あれはゴドフスキーが編曲したショパンで、やっぱり左手だけで弾けるやつです。
Sasaki-san shakes her head.
信じられませんよ。嘘みたい。片手だけでこんな演奏ができるなんて、すごい。やっぱりすごいですよ。なんでそんなのが弾けちゃうんですか？ピアノにどんな魔法をかけたんですか？普通の学校のピアノなのに。
Sasaki-san gently pats the keyboard.
やっぱり、甘子さんって天才ですよね。人とは違うんだ。
She murmurs to herself. I can't say anything.
いや、そんなことはないんですが。
A dark regret starts to spread through my chest. I shouldn't have let anyone listen to such a performance. To be honest, I thought I had recovered more than this. Yuka praises me, but it's not something I had in mind. I'm troubled. I want to explain to her, but I can't come up with the right words. I don't know how to put it. Music plays in my head instead of words. If I can perform this, I should be able to better convey my thoughts to her. I touch the keyboard to play the piano. Then I remember, I can't play the piano anymore. It's a terrible contradiction to try to convey the feeling of not being able to play the piano by playing the piano. I doubt my brain. I hang my head and see that the piano is looking at me with pity. I don't want it to look at me like that.
とにかく楽しんでもらえたようでよかったです。
I place the lid on the keyboard. I move away from the uncomfortable piano and leave the room. Interesting. The air feels thin and my chest is hurting slightly. I feel out of place. I realize that I've completely lost the contact point between the world and I. The hallway is without light. It's so dark that I can't see anything. I forgot my flashlight on the piano. There's a strange presence in the darkness in front of me. I strain my eyes and a figure appears in the darkness. It's a boy. The boy's left arm is fading from his elbow down, and his hand has completely disappeared into the darkness. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't show any emotion. He just stands there and stares at me. No matter how long I wait, he just sadly stares at me without saying a word. I'm starting to feel uncomfortable. It must be the same for him. I think we'll both be at ease if he says something, even if it may be scornful. But he can't talk even if he wants to. He probably wants my left hand. He can't show any expressions or talk unless he has both his hands. He cannot materialize his inner thoughts into this world. That's why he can't demand my left hand right now. The most he can do is stand there in the silence and stare at me in anguish. He can only make an expressionless face like a no mask. No matter what kind of emotion may be in his mind. How miserable. I want to give it back to him if I can, but I can't. My left hand is something I definitely need. I stare back into the boy's eyes. I must look miserable in his eyes as well.
Amako-san?
Yeah, see, these delusions that he keep having, one was with the businessman, right? I think the businessman was like his... It's something he thought maybe might happen to him in the future, you know? If he lives throughout his life. He'll have a wife, he'll have a kid, he'll work hard. But he's not enjoying the life that he has, right? I think that was like a manifestation of his worries. And right now, this is his past self. I turn around and Sasaki-san is standing there, looking worried.
大丈夫ですよ。何でもありません。
I'm sure I sounded normal, but Sasaki-san's face is still clouded. A clamor wakes me up. It should be daybreak soon, but it's still dark. I hear people talking outside the gym. Watching out for the sleeping people, I leave the gym. The voices are coming from the administration office. I put on my shoes and walk towards it. A nurse is talking to Hida-san with an agitated look. Her uniform is unnaturally black and dirty. Hida-san is listening to the nurse with an expression I can't read. He sees me.
ちょうどいいところに来た。
He gives me a job. It seems the hospital is in trouble because of strange people who have appeared from outside. He says that it's on fire and that there are people who've died. But we don't know the details. The only information we have is the excited rambling of the nurse who ran here. We need to confirm the information. I head to the hospital with a few other people that happen to be around. The burnt smell hits my nose. The instigators have already gone, and a fully trampled disastrous scene is left behind. Most of the canopies have been knocked down. There is smoke coming from everywhere. Beds, blankets, and the corpses of patients and doctors are burning. Burned corpses are lying on top of the white snow. The bodies of people on beds have been dyed red. Some of the survivors are clinging onto the corpses and crying. Others are sitting down or standing in place, stunned, with snow piling up on their bodies. I can hear some people shouting in anger. I just stand there in shock. I then decide to act and ask around for the one in charge, Dr. Kakizaki.
まだ日が明けきらない暗い夜、突然悲鳴が上がって、気がついたらあちこちに火がついていて、メラメラと燃える炎が鮮やかなオレンジ色で。
Who would do this? It's kind of weird that they would kill the doctors too.
刃物を持った人が笑いながらベッドの人を刺して回って、刃物を持った人が叫びながら看護婦さんを追い回していて、寝ている人は何も言えなくて静かに、看護婦さんは悲痛に泣き叫びながら、立ち向かった人は棒で殴られ、震えてた人は虫けらのように刺され、炎のオレンジがあまりにも色鮮やかで、炎はメラメラとまるで生き物のようで、とても気持ち悪い風景でした。とても恐ろしい光景でした。突然柿崎院長がすごい声で怒鳴りつけ、そして柿崎院長は取り囲まれて倒れ伏し、
Is he dead?
体に火をつけられ、
Oh, fuck.
その後も、あれです。あれが柿崎院長です。
They point to a black mass. Two legs wearing leather boots are sticking out. Dr. Kakizaki is dead. I hear someone screaming in a loud voice, but I can't hear the content. They managed to survive the terrible disaster, so why do they have to die like this? I I get irritated and wander around, not knowing what to do, when I come across Tanamura-san and Kuwagata-san. Tanamura-san, who is collecting information too, looks pale as well. Kuwagata-san is showing his anger and glaring at the surroundings. Tanamura-san was collecting information on the culprits. There were a group of 3 who stole a lot of food and medicine.
探そう。
Tanamura-san says with a stern look. He's holding his Japanese sword.
同感です。
Kuwagata-san's lips are trembling, but his words are distinct. He's holding a long stick.
相手は何人くらいだ？
Ida-san, who arrived late, asks Tanamura-san. He answers 3.
相手も徒歩で重い荷物を持っています。おそらくまだ遠くへ行っていないはずです。探しましょう。
Ida-san shakes his head at Tanamura-san's proposal.
それよりここを収集した方がいい。
Ida-san says we need to reorganize since searching for the culprits would be too dangerous. Tanamura-san respects his opinion, but does not yield.
逃がしてしまうと後々厄介ですよ。誰も危険にさらしません。俺が一人でやります。
待て。
俺は大丈夫ですよ。心配しないでください。行ってきます。
Tanamura-san runs off in the direction which he heard the man went.
僕も行きます。
Kuwagata-san follows after him.
行ってきます。
I start walking as well. I can't just do nothing.
待つんだ。
I shake off Ida-san's voice and follow after the two. The wind hitting my face is strong, and I realize that the day is breaking.
これだな。
We find footprints in the snow. It's not just a normal footprint. The snow around the footprint is dyed red. Tanamura-san looks at us. Kuwagata-san and I nod.
塚ちゃん武器は？
この棒切れじゃダメですか？
塚ちゃんは片手が効かないからな。こっちの方が良くない？
Tanamura-san takes out the gun he took from the police officer back then.
弾切れちゃってるけど、脅しくらいにはなるよ。
That's true.
いや、大丈夫です。
そっか。タクちゃんはそれで大丈夫なの？俺の刀と取り替えよっか？
それはタノさんが。僕が持ってても使いこなせません。
わかった。
Tanamura-san signals with his eyes, and Kuwagata-san nods back firmly. The footprints are headed toward the shopping district. There are many buildings, creating lots of cover, and we don't know where our enemies are. And it makes us grow tense.
何か聞こえない？
Tanamura-san turns around to me. I shake my head. The only sound I'm hearing is the sound of the wind, which blows through the ruins, making sounds like a whistle.
そうか。
White breath escapes his mouth with his words, and he continues walking again.
そろそろ危ないかもね。足跡がだいぶ鮮明になってきた。近くにいるのかもしれない。
I recall those police officers as I hear his words. If they are our enemies, they probably have guns and our danger increases tremendously.
今度こそ捕まえましょう。
Kuwagata-san says this even though he must know that.
追う立場とはいえ、少し分が悪いけど。
Tanamura-san says,
塚ちゃんがいれば俺たちが先に発見できる。そしたら十分勝ち目がある。
but he declares this without hesitation.
ただ、それでも危険なのは確かだよ。どうする？
The two stare at me.
何言ってるんですか？やりますよ。
I nod. Tanamura-san doesn't say anything anymore. The town is dead, having become a forest of ruins. I take the lead and concentrate on my hearing as we walk. There are lots of noises, but the wind is fortunately blowing from ahead of us. Even a small sound would be carried to us by the wind, but the opposite is not true. I walk carefully. Then, I hear a slight voice.
あの路地の向こうあたりから女性の声がしました。
I whisper, and we all start walking towards the voice. We creep up against the wind to the origin of the voice. The place is in the back of the ruins, and I can feel several presences from inside. I tell the others not to make a sound and go near them to pick up the sounds. I can even hear their conversation now.
あなたたちのその姿は何なのですか？
A young woman is asking a question.
いやー、まったく参っちゃったよ。そこで危ない連中に襲われちゃってさ、命からがら逃げてきたんだよね、俺たち。
There are several men. Judging from the conversation, they must have met the woman around here just now. If I'm to believe them, it would mean that they're survivors from the hospital. If that's the case, they should have run to the school. It's too unnatural to come running to such a desolate place. Imagining the worst case scenario, I immediately go back to the others.
また女の人かい。
Tanamura-san clucks his tongue. He must have reached the same conclusion I did. Kuwagata-san perceives it as well, nods, squats down, and starts putting rocks into his pocket. We walk along the wall and approach them. Even though the wind is blowing against us, they should be able to hear us soon.
それは恐ろしいお話ですね。なんて悲しいことをするのでしょう。
They're right behind the obstacle. We all hold our breath.
まったく大変だよ。本当にそんなひどいことするやつの気が知れない。この地なんかさ、目の前で友達が殺されちゃって、それが
本当にひどい。
ひどいんだよ。それでお姉さんは今何してるの？
私ですか？水浸しになってしまった様子を近くで見てみようと。ずっと遠くからしか見ていなかったものですから。
This is Miyu's voice actor, by the way, from Suwahibi. Gosh.
へえ、じゃあ知り合いとかと一緒に来てるの？
いいえ。
そうか、一人か。それ怖いね。まだこの辺りにあいつらきっといるよ。
We hide behind cover and quietly listen to their conversation. Their story is obviously unnatural, but the woman does not know this. But the men seem to be off guard since the woman doesn't know about the incident. If there is a chance, it would be now.
あの時にいた警察官の声と一致しません。
I whisper into Tanamura-san's ear.
すると別の連中ってことかい？
おそらく。
あんな連中が他にもいるなんて。
タクちゃんの気持ちはわかるけどね。まあ鉄砲もないだろうし、警官よりは弱いだろうから、正直かなり有利になったよ。
でも女性を人質に取られたりしたら。
それはまずいだろうね。急ごう。
さっきの銃貸してもらえますか？
でも弾は出ないって。
分かってます。これを持って僕が彼らを威嚇して女性から離れるよう仕向けます。そしたら合図をするので棚村さんたちは逆に回って2人で。
無理だよ塚ちゃん、それは厳しい。
Man, I do like how the pacing in this story is like so fast. It doesn't like give you unnecessary like fluff. I really do enjoy this. Like, it's crazy. Usually a lot of visual novels had a lot of padding. But this one, it just shows you the necessary scenes. Doesn't make it go for too long and then just jumps you straight back to the story, which is awesome.
いや、やります。僕はどうせ大した役に立ちません。嘘だとバレたとしても最悪注意を向けるくらいはできます。おとりに適役です。
しかし
相談してる暇はないですよ。それとももっといいアイデアありますか？
仕方ないな。
目的を明確にしましょう。連中をどうこうするのは諦めて女性を助けることだけに専念します。それくらいならできるはずです。
了解。
わかりました。
じゃあ僕が合図したら飛び出してください。
I did appear from behind cover. That does not look like someone who needs help. There stand 3 men with their clothes covered in blood and a girl with a cold expression. I put the gun in my left hand and pointed at them. I need to have them see the gun first.
なんだお前。それは何持っている？
What did the men notice as me?
拳銃です。見たことあるでしょう。
I walk towards them. There's about 10 meters between us now. They should be able to clearly see what's in my hand now.
拳銃？まさかそんなものが。
モデルガンじゃないですよ。信じないのは勝手ですが、ただ信じてもらった方が僕としてはありがたいですね。弾がもったいない。
I bluff, even though I'm not used to it. It all ends if they don't believe me. They gasp and stare at the metal in my hand. It's real. No matter how hard they stare at it, it's just that there aren't any bullets in it. I mentally sigh with relief. It seems they believe me.
病院を襲って略奪を働いたのはあなたたちですね。
I point the gun at his face. His face contorts and he tries to turn away, but I don't stop. Tanamura-san and Kuwagata-san quietly starts moving. I have to move the men away from the girl before they can get to a better location.
近づくなよ。俺たちじゃねえよ。つうか俺被害者だもんよ。ああ、そうか。お前襲った奴らの仲間なのか？
違います。しかしこの後に及んでまでよくそんな嘘が言えるものですね。
I seriously think so.
嘘じゃねえよ。決めつけるなよ。ほら、銃を下ろせって。 話せばわかるって。
しかし僕には今一つ理解できないんですよね。どうしてあんなことをしたんですか？探せばまだ食料なんかあるでしょう。そんなに人を殺したかったんですか？
I asked to buy some time.
だから違うって言ってんだろ。俺だって被害者で命からがら逃げてきたんだからさ。なあお姉さん、あんたもさ。
The girl is staring at the man's face. I can't tell what she's thinking. First of all, I'm not good at reading people.
黙ってないで一緒に説得してくれよ。こいつ勘違いしてるんだよ。
The girl sighs and slowly shakes her head.
もう演技はおやめになってください。嘘をついているのはあなた方ですね。
The men are surprised, but so am I.
もう大丈夫です。私のことは気にしないでください。
Huh?
隠れている人、出てきてください。
Why would you rat us out? I'm even more surprised that she signaled Tanamura-san and Kuwagata-san. They jump out from their hiding spot a second after the signal. They must have planned it as they both shout and intimidate the men. The men are stunned at the loud voices and start running away, leaving their bags behind. Tanamura-san and Kuwagata-san keep screaming and run after them. They throw stones while they're at it. The men have been seized with fear as they desperately run away without turning around. Tanamura-san and Kuwagata-san come back to us after they've driven the men off.
人の心はひどくすさんでしまったんですね。
The girl has cold eyes, refusing careless inquiries. She's staring at the direction the man ran away.
しかし
I don't understand.
どうして田村さんたちが隠れていたのに気がついたんですか？
They were really quiet even to my ears. You couldn't hear them unless you had really good ears. But the girl looks at me in wonder instead.
こそこそ話しているのが聞こえていましたよ。あの方たちが気づかなかったのは私を騙すのに一生懸命になっていたからでしょう。
それは
We were being careful, but she still heard us?
すみません。あなたを危険にさらしてしまいました。
I bow apologetically.
いいえ、そんなことはありません。私は感謝しています。
She looks at me.
それにしてもびっくりしてしまいました。
え？
弾が入っていないのによくあんな演技ができたものですね。
She smiles faintly. She heard the contents of our conversation too? I'm surprised that the men didn't hear us. We were careless. The girl introduces herself as Inogi Taiko. She says that she's not living at the hospital or the shelter, but with relatives.
なんだかもうこの町も物騒だから身内と一緒に避難所なりに集まった方がいいよ。
Tanamura-san says this.
そうですね。考えさせていただきます。
She's courteous, but I can't tell if she's being slightly interested. If she's even slightly interested. We offer to escort her home, but she refuses the offer.
今日は本当にありがとうございました。後ほど避難所にお伺いしてお礼はさせていただきます。
She bows deeply and leaves.
多分俺たちのことも信じていないんだろうね。仕方ないけどさ。
Tanamura-san sighs as he sees her off. That's normal, I suppose. We return to the hospital and people are already working. We did recover the stolen goods, but we could not apprehend the culprits like we intended. We go see Hida-san to apologize for our selfish actions.
無事でよかったよ。心配してたんだ。
Hida-san doesn't condemn us at all, but greets us with a smile. Now that the hospital is like this, we need to transfer the patients to the shelter ahead of schedule. We start helping out with that right away. There are a considerable amount of people from the shelter to help out. The patients who can move have coats over their pajamas and are working. Some are holding weapons and are on guard. Everybody works silently, and the only voices are the ones giving orders. The corpses are collected in the corner and are covered in sheets as if they're forgotten. A young nurse is walking by the corpses, lifting the sheet from time to time, and freezing in terror. She looks terrified, but she still continues checking under the sheets. I get worried and called out to her.
どうしたんですか？
She looks up at me.
これ柿崎先生の遺品なんですけど。
She holds out the portable CD player. I can see a familiar CD label inside it.
先生が唯一仕事以外で大事にしてたものだから一緒にしてあげたいなって思ったんです。 いつも手放さなかったのにかわいそうだなって思って。でも誰が柿崎先生だかもう全然わからなくなっちゃってて、どうしたらいいのか。
She starts crying. Inside the CD player is my father's CD that the doctor was listening to back then. And I guess that's the end of the episode.
タクちゃん、ゆかっちが綺麗だと思わない？ほら見なよ、あのうなじ。実にそそられるじゃないか。
How the heck did they get some kimonos or yukatas? That is definitely a question I'm gonna be asking next time. But yeah, I do enjoy the pacing of this game, like I said. They don't, like, unnaturally pad out the things you don't need to know. So I do enjoy it a lot. Other than that, there's really nothing much to say from me. It's more, like I said, this is more so of a thriller slash action slash shonen anime rather than a visual novel. I don't know, it's a much better anime than the average anime though. It's like fully concise. But yeah. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm gonna play some PSO2 after this. I'm a bit too addicted to PSO2. See ya.